Well, good evening. If you never watched the show before, I go by Eight Wind is Timeless or Eight Wind Eagle or Time Lord, Starface, a number of different things. Um, Welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am the holder of the Infinite Ball Game that was created by the Hero Twins. I am also your galactic daddy-o, sitting on my galactic patio, which I welcome all of you joining me on the galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And as always, we are sponsored by Drakkar Essence for the man that doesn't have anything. And tonight we are drinking Kloster's Andach's Double Bach Dunkel. So good morning. So hey, Nate Robinson. Kobe's day is over today. It's 25-8, number of the beast. There you go. The evening, my guy, Aggie Pride. There you go, Aggie Pride. You see that Smith, they gave Smith, they got him in. Smith gets to play golf for A&T. So, hey, what's real good? Hey, PJ, what's happening? Hey, PJ, I want to put another name on the list that I'm seeing too much too. So we got to watch Larry Bird. We got to watch Dennis Rodman, but I'm gonna say the other name is gonna be Isaiah Thomas too. His name is popping up too much. He's another one that we should watch. So again, pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them, and of course we're using the Hamilton device. Last time I came on, I was heavily medicated and wasn't feeling a lot of the pain that has set in for the last couple of days. I've been fighting with ice. I should get a little far from the mic. But ice burnt my damn shoulder with the ice pack. Frostbite on my shoulder. So can't see the chiropractor till next week. So my shit is kind of swole up. So a little sore. I know I'm sounding a little weak. I can just hear it in my voice, but I'll do the best I can. Oh, from Atlanta. Okay. Alchemy is the handbook. Okay. Very kind words. Hey, homie 43. It hurts. Yeah, Isaiah, they've been putting Isaiah on too much. The thing about, and I haven't said this probably never on this channel, but when I was 17 and my brother just turned 44. So the night I went to see my brother, they lived about 20 miles away. On the way back, fucking around with some of my friends, I flipped in the car about 3 times. That's why my thing is for and against seatbelts. If my dude was riding with the passenger seat would have had a seatbelt on, he'd have got killed. But luckily, he was able to ball down into the wheel well, and it saved him. The guy in the back, he just went into shock. But I've showed this before. I've had like 400 stitches. I had 200 stitches on the inside. I could see my skull. I remember going to the hospital. And because I hit the windshield. And I've told this story before where I've slightly changed time. Because in one situation, I broke my neck in that accident. But just by slightly pushing my head slightly over and getting this. And the funny thing about this scar is, I've told this before, is I remember they can sandpaper your skin. Like people that's been burned can understand that. They can sandpaper your skin. And so, I keloid. And so my mother thought it was a good idea to sandpaper my skin. And that's some painful shit. But I remember that the doctor, the plastic surgeon was like, this is a Negro child. I was like, thank you. Yeah, he gets it. So, ACWE. So but my point of bringing all that up is I tore my shoulder too. Like I tore up in here, and I forget that I tore up in here. And so I was really doing well Wednesday, vacuuming, but I'm left-hand dominant. Like I'm not left-handed, but like if I grab for things, I just automatically grab with my left hand. And twice while vacuuming, I picked up the vacuum cleaner with my left hand. And it's not heavy, but it's just, and so it threw me back where I was sore. And I'm still kind of sore. So I'll go for a while. But yeah, that car, I had pictures of it. We flipped, and yeah, the car was totaled. The car was totaled, and I've told the story before. The guy in the back seat um, put my car in low while we was going about 80, and it tore the engine up. It almost like we hit a brick wall, because it just completely tore the engine up by putting the car in low. It's pumping, the pistons is going, and then it gets into low gear, just fucks the transmission up, and he caused the accident. The guy sitting in the back seat. Hey, King Kane. So I'm right. Like, I batted when I played baseball, I batted left-handed because I see better with my left. Well, I see better with my left eye, and so I batted. But and then hooping, I just taught myself to shoot left-handed, and I just learned through the years. I just grab stuff. Like, I eat and stuff. I can eat with either hand. I write right-handed, but far as like grabbing stuff, I'll naturally grab things with my left hand, and it's just by habit. So if I'm moving or not. So, ooh, good beer. So that happened 44 years ago. That happened 44 years ago. And I forget, because like right now it's my rotator cuff. But when I got in the accident, I tore like a little bit off my collarbone. And this is the thing. I got in the accident. My brother's birthday is June 22nd. So it was that night going back. It was probably closer to my birthday. It was probably the 28th, a few days before my birthday. And by August, I was playing football, with all this torn. So I forget that all this is torn as well. So it's bothering me a little bit, but I'll go for a minute. Adam Silver saying he doesn't like super teams. The history of the NBA is super teams. When has it ever been like that? So you give Wilt Chamberlain just Wilt Chamberlain, but you put Bill Russell around a bunch of people. I mean, look at the team that Bill Russell played with. Cousy in the Hall of Fame, Heinsohn in the Hall of Fame, Sam and Casey Jones in the Hall of Fame, John Havlicek in the Hall of Fame, Satch Sanders in the Hall of Fame. Who played with Wilt that's in the Hall of Fame? Now, of course, Jerry West later, but in early Wilt's career. The only person I can think of is Hal Greer. I think Hal Greer is in the Hall of Fame. So it's always been super teams. It's always been like that. That's how the NBA got started. I mean, remember, what kept the NBA alive was Boston Celtics winning 8 years in a row. 8 years in a row. They won from, I think, 60 to 60, 67, maybe 59 season. Maybe we talked about this before. Pettit with St. Louis might have been 58, and they won from 59 to the 66 season, something like that. So. Yeah, exactly. He had a super team. Adam Silver said he wants super teams to be drafted. That's not the rules, though. That's not the rules. He might add rules to stop super teams. There's no way. How can you stop that when they already want, Spencer Haywood and being able to be free agents? Because that's what he says. He wants slaves again. He doesn't like that the players have the bargaining ability. That's what he doesn't like, and he's not going to be able to get away from that. You don't see that in football. You don't really see that in baseball. I mean, Mookie Betts was one of the best players and went to L.A. Matter of fact, Scherzer from the Senators, he's now with L.A. too. So people like that. People like that. And I don't think there's any way he can stop that. I think there would be a lockout. I think the teams would lock out before the Players Association would accept that. I think it would be a lockout. Oh, about Bruce Lee. Yeah, a conversation about Bruce Lee had me thinking he impacted life. Yeah, I mean, like, the positive about Bruce Lee, again, when Enter the Dragon came out, everybody wanted nunchucks. Everybody started going to schools. Now, my father had got into martial arts, so I grew up around that because my father had got into martial arts in the early 60s. And then when he moved back to Michigan, he had went to live in New York for a while and picked up martial arts. Then he moved back to Michigan in the 60s. He kept it going. But Bruce Lee really had brothers being into martial arts. And Enter the Dragon again with the nunchucks. It was nothing for me to grow when I was a young boy to see dudes just walking down the street working out I mean, just walking down the street, not missing a beat. And as I was telling PJ, it was so much during that teenage, when I was probably 10 or 11, it was so, you saw so many people have nunchucks that the city outlawed them. They called them a weapon because you could see how proficient dudes was. I mean, dudes is just walking down, working out. Now, I loved Kato. I think I'm the generation where Batman was the first show I really followed on color, was Batman. And then I want to say the second or third season of Batman, they brought out Bruce Lee. I had the Bruce Lee, I had the, Green Hornet. I had the Green Hornet mask, because if you bought the Green Hornet coloring book, it came with a mask in the end, and you had the Kato mask. I think the mask was green in the book, but you had the Kato mask. And so there's an episode you can watch, Batman versus the Green Hornet, where they act like Robin could get with Bruce Lee. So I dug him in that. Those of you that are even older, New York had a 24-hour station. And I've said this before, where I lived in Greensboro, Saturdays was 24 hours of Kung Fu. That's all they showed. And this is like 82, maybe 83, all day. But I think in New York, they had Kung Fu channels where they just showed Kung Fu movies. Now, where you have to compare Bruce Lee to Van Damme, Bruce Lee never held any titles. He never held any belts. He pretty much was self-taught, but again, very much like Van Damme. But you have to give it to him because he knew the forms. Even though he may not officially ever been, he knew the forms. And Bruce Lee, again, in Enter the Dragon, he's wearing the MMA gloves. So he kind of invented MMA too. So you got to give him credit for that. Now, he was a very little dude, what, 5'3", 5'5", something like that. It's funny, Quentin Tarantino in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood shows him getting body slammed into a car, which is basically true. The parts they skipped is the first time the dude went up to him, Bruce kicked him and knocked him down. Dude went back at Bruce, Bruce kicked him and knocked him down again. Dude got back up and Bruce did a flying kick and dude saw it coming and slammed him into a car. But Bruce, again, was a very little guy, wasn't a big guy. But yeah, I mean, to impact the generation that came later, like if you watch that Bruce Lee 30 for 30, which I hadn't watched before, you see all these actors that kept doing it. Like if you've ever watched a lot of the old Kung Fu like movies, you know, the Drunken Monkey, that's one, or I think there's a couple version of it. One's called maybe the Drunken Priest, but it's basically the Drunken Monkey is the character. So, and remember, Bruce Lee was a movie star as a child. He was a child actor. So when they sent him to America, that's really why he was sent to America. And I know people probably watching are old enough to remember Kung Fu and the impact of the TV show after Enter the Dragon, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kung Fu was before. I mean, people loved Kung Fu. They really did. Jordan didn't have a super team. Pippen developed later. And that's really all he needed was just one player extra. Adam Silver can make it harder for teams to obtain stars that already have some. Again, in the collective bargaining agreement, how could he do that? There's nothing going to stop free agency. So I don't see how that would pass the collective bargaining agreement. Super Bowls, 56 predictions. I don't know. I can't really say that I watch teams enough. Hey, James, what's happening? I got an older cousin named Greg from Michigan. Hadn't seen him since I was a child. Oh, okay. Yeah. I was about to say, I know some Allens, but their dad is an Allen. I can't think of, but their mom was from Korea, but the dad was an Allen. Bruce and them. Bruce Chico. Yeah, their dad was an Allen. He was from I think Korea, from Korean War, old dude. Probably not with us. He was cold with the martial arts. They say he's 5'8". No, ain't no way Bruce Lee is 5'8". No. Bruce Lee 5'6", maybe. He appeared like 5'4", 5'5". I found the Kung Fu app of Pride. That's funny. Bruce Leroy. There you go. I've told about the coldest dude I ever knew was clearly. I was telling my son this story. I grew up around an old dude named Karate Joe, and one time we watched Karate Joe. Basically, they had took the roof off, and Karate Joe knocked down the rest of the garage by kicking it. He hit it a few times, but he knocked the garage down basically by kicking it. Now, he later had hip surgery, but I remember us being fascinated that he was in there just kicking the shit out these boards, and he knocked it down with the boards. But Mark Crockett was by far my old friend. He was by far. He was a coach. I've said before, Mark was a coach in the '88 Olympics, but Mark was the baddest dude. Other than my dad, I watched my dad in a sparring match as far as a competition. He caught a dude. He did a backhand spin, and he caught the dude like this, like with the back of his fist. He did a back turn, and the dude stepped into it, and my dad knocked him out cold. They disqualified him, but I mean, dude came into it, but it was the perfect move. He's like, "What?" And boom, hit that dude, knocked him out freaking cold. So my dad wasn't no joke. And I've told the story before. My dad didn't really need to carry around a gun. He would just whoop dude's ass. And I've told this story before. It was two Hemi cars. I imagine they was probably Chargers or Roadrunner. And he told these dudes quit racing across our street because it was from 131 that goes, I think, north to Grand Rapids. It's where you can turn on the corner and you don't have a light. It's about a quarter mile or a half mile. And dudes would hit it because there's no light. You could come right off the highway and you could just hit it. And the light was like miles down. And my dad told these cats quit freaking racing because there was a store across, a gas station across the street. They sold candy and sodas. And so he was back and forth. And he told them, shit, we was out there outside messing around. He heard them dudes. Shit, he went out and grabbed in his car. And he had a big 44 Magnum snub nose. And he shot at both their cars. Bow, 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 bow. And I remember going with him to the pool hall a day or two later, saw them dudes up in there. They didn't blink. They didn't blink at him. And my dad was a gambler. He's back there gambling, talking shit, but they didn't say shit. And he shot their cars up. They hung up David Carradine. I think he hung himself up like that. Yeah. Well, you know, his daddy. If you watch the Long Ride, I think it's called, you see the Keaches brothers, you see the Carradines, but old man Carradine, you see, does he play Igor once? But the daddy Carradine, the older Carradine, I want to say he was probably an older. No, I think he was always in talkies, but you can look at. And then they had another brother that was a Carradine. I want to say The Longest Ride, maybe. What is it? The two Carradine brothers in there, but it was another Carradine. But their daddy was an actor too. But it was, you know, again, not giving that role to Bruce and giving that role to him. But Bruce was sent here to be in the movies. They don't tell that in the 30 for 30. He was a child actor. What else was he sent here for? So, but he was like Van Damme. He wasn't really a master of anything, you know. He wasn't like what's his name, Game of Death dude. He wasn't like him, where he was a true red belt, one of the first Europeans to make red belt. Oh, he was cold with him. I got to do some digging to ask Big Paul about them Allens. Okay, yeah, ask him because I don't know Bruce's dad's name, but Bruce's dad, I want to say, was older than our parents because I remember their mother was Korean, so I'm guessing their father was over in Korea. But they were all my age. I used to mess with his sister, but Bruce was my age or maybe a year older, but my grade. Chico was a year younger. Michelle was 2 years younger. So all of them is in their 50s. Big A said, I think my mother's secretly a demon. What should I do? That's interesting. I would do some more investigation to find out if she's one or not. It's a good question, and that's not really a simple answer because I'm gonna correct myself. I guess the first thing I would say is, how do I want to put this to make it nicely? Look at, okay, I guess I would attack it like this. If she was one, find out what kind, I guess, first of all. But the other answer would be write down what makes you think she's a demon. Write down those answers and look up demon and see if she falls into that category. Because she could be. I mean, I'm not downplaying saying she is or she isn't, but she could be. Hey, Caesar, Samurai some Moors, Samurai Sam Moors. So she could be. I would look into it. Pop wasn't no joke. No, my father. Yeah, they call me Bruce. Movie, they call me Bruce. Do you mess with wrestling? I liked it as a product. I really do. Normally, I watch Wednesday and Monday Night Wrestling, so not great into it. I like the entertainment. I like the athleticism of it now. I used to watch it a lot in the 60s. Of course, in the 60s and the 70s, we had a local wrestler named Bubba Brazil, which was out of Benton Harbor, Michigan, that I kind of followed, the Midwestern wrestlers. I think Ernie Ladd fought a couple times. Even before Hulk Hogan and them, that's what was big up here. Hulk Hogan and them was all here. Is it Ric Flair's from Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken? And so they all one time wrestled out of Minneapolis. So not heavily. Hey, woke sister, thank you for joining. So a little bit, CJ, little bit. Oh, they call me Bruce. Oh, okay. Okay. Samurai Sam Moores. Okay. Yeah, I get that. So a little bit. I watch wrestling a little bit. I did have a subject. I usually don't have subjects, but I got a couple subjects. Wish I could show a picture of this. And I don't know if this will show up. Let me see if I can get the light right. This is black and white, but can y'all see that? Them is Prince's heels boots. So Paisley Park is now a museum. And so it costs $45 to go in there. I've been in there a couple times, but $45. Because like what Prince would do is he would say it's a certain show and word of mouth would get out and you could just stand outside for a few hours and he was letting people in after a minute. So I did that once. But I've been into Paisley. It says the exhibit is included in all tours of Paisley Park through the end of the year and tickets start at $45. This is basically to go to a house in a recording studio, but the recording studio is like a small club. $45. Yeah, it's not worth. Like, I can't remember how much it was to see Elvis's crib, but it wasn't $45 the couple times I went. So you can see the shoes in the exhibit are made with different fabrics, patterns, including paisley colors, jewels, and some are even hand beaded or painted. In terms of how they could use, they were really on a limit to their own imagination. Visitors to Parkley quickly learned that nearly every outfit that Prince wore was customized for him. Prince was what, 5'1". It wasn't even enough to have a jacket that matched the pants. The shoes had to match as well, which gave him a streamlining effect. Management wanted to exhibit part of Prince's shoe collection. Decided to dedicate exhibit solely related to his shoes so visitors could get up close and personal with his shoes. It sounds like some weirdos. And I ripped this, so I'm kind of the custom-made shoes, which are all around a U.S. men's size 7. He wore a size 7. I think my daughter, foot is bigger than a man's size 7. Well, she wears the women's size. Them last ones was 10s, and they was a little big, so she wears about the same size. So the shoes go from 600 to 3,600. Yeah, don't rush up here to see that. The collection is complicated by concert footage, so you can see concert footage, but yeah, don't come up here for his shoes. So, oh, well, thank you. Checking out the Galactic. Oh, Mr. Lamborghini, what's happening? Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say, woke sister. That is so nice of you to say. Hey, Liquid Fire. Do I think Prince is alive? I wear 13s, and I can wear some 14s. So I've said this before. Tyka, they's about the same size. Listen to Tyka sing. and they sound alike. She sings in a heavy falsetto. She was a drug addict. One time she was tricking. I mean, she was tricking for crack at one time. Prince helped her out a lot. I imagine she doesn't still live in that house on the hood, but if anybody knows where 55 here is in the city, she lived like what they call the lowers, like the way the hood goes on the north side. It goes from like 1 to about 5, and then it goes from 5 to basically 80 something. And she lived on 5, but she lived on well, you could see her house off of 55. It was like technically the only house standing there, but it appeared like he took her role and they took her out. So could be. So could be. Yeah, she was out there. Yeah, Lammy. Yeah, she was out there tricking. Yeah. You know who Bill Cooper is? Is he a truth speaker? Well, Bill Cooper said that same Jesuit stuff. Like Killer Priest had him on. And when I hear that Jesuit stuff, I'm like, you work for them peoples. When I hear that Jesuit stuff, I say, you work for them peoples. So he ain't really, he's one of them people that's paid. And then he said it was interesting. He told on himself, he said he worked with Stincham. I mean, I found all that interesting that he worked with them. So I think he works for them peoples. So, hey, Valerie, what's happening? You're the old B. Brown said. Wait, you think Tyka is Prince? Yeah, I think so. Remember, Tyka went on a world tour right after he died. The last time I saw her, she was going to Australia. It was like a Prince revival. Listen to her. Just listen to her sing. And you'll see. My second thing I want to bring up is this cat named Rod Carew. I personally haven't met Rod Carew, but I have met Tony Oliva. I met this cat. I see him all the time. Nice guy from Puerto Rico. But this is Rod Carew, the other guy with the glasses. What's interesting is, let me see where I can start this, because you see I ripped it. I was trying to take it out and I ripped it. But if you don't know who Rod Carew is, he's he's one of the best baseball players ever. He's in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest hitters ever. He played here for the Twins, but he played with a bunch of teams. I think maybe he won one World Series, maybe not. But he was one of the last hitters to hit close to 400. Cat from, I think he's from Puerto Rico as well. But the interesting thing is, let me feel. Okay, so after having a left ventricle assist device in, a stent basically, implanted, he needed a heart. To live, he needed a heart transplant. So and it says right here, not many people his age would receive a heart transplant. But he said one lucky moment, the heart came from check this out. The heart came from Conrad Ruland, a former NFL tight end who suffered a brain aneurysm in 2016. And I bet if you put this in, Conrad with a K, Konrad, Ruland, Reuland, a former football player, but he has aneurysm 16. His heart and one of his kidneys went to Rod Carew. And this cat was in his 70s. I'm pretty sure this isn't that long ago when he got a heart transplant. So they get to say, because his son played with New England, maybe. Oh, he was trying out with New England when he got sick. So in 2017, yeah, he got a heart transplant. And then he got to know the parents and everything. But at 70, this dude still got a heart transplant. In 2017, I kind of ripped it down here. But what is the odds that a Hall of Fame baseball player gets a heart transplant that old? Hey, Liquid Fire, if I didn't say what's happening. I think I'm not being told the truth on how I was conceived. Oh, okay. Hey, Sean, that is interesting, Big H. That is interesting. Yeah, heart transplant. That Free Guy movie was legit. Everything you said, very good insight about the AI, me and the mind. Okay, thank you, Sean. Yeah, I was excited about it. When I watched it, I was like, oh, shit, they done put some shit out here. And I don't think a lot of people got that. Well, it's the #1 movie, though. It's been the #1 movie for the last 3 weeks. So people is seeing something about it, but it's a lot of gems in that movie that they don't openly give up. Now the thing is, once that happens, when we have fully automated characters, it almost reminds you of, remember in Star Wars how they was playing chess? Like you'd make a move and then the monster would come out and smash your man. So you had actually animated people on the chessboard. But once you have just fully autonomous automated characters, and all you do is pay for them and they do their own thing, their own killing or whatever, the task they do. That is to me, that wouldn't be interesting. And for people that like the control, you wouldn't think that's going to be interesting. But when the new generation comes up and that's available, they're going to prefer that and going to be the ones just giving it extra stuff. You're going to pay for extra stuff to get it different colors, different skins, but you ain't got to do this. You're going to have very little input. I mean, maybe a little bit of your personality, but that's what it's going to go to. So Rod Carew was my favorite hitter as a child. Oh, me too, Caesar. I loved Rod Carew. I mean, I think he bat left-handed too, and I always bat left-handed, but just his eye for the ball and getting hits. He wasn't trying to get home runs. He was just getting hit. I actually could be a clone, but it's not scary, but everything is too much of a coincidence in my life. I literally mean everything. Wow, then write all that down. Write all that down and break it down into categories. That's what I would do. I would write all the coincidence coming down and then look at how you could prove that these weren't coincidences. So, keep something very personal. Don't just put it for everybody's eyes, but start writing all the coincidences down. So, and you can accumulate more like that. It's really good, peeps. A lot of gems for sure. Just have to have an open mind when watching the film and not getting the hip. It's just being a movie. Yeah, exactly. A. Nate Robinson, and crush their infants' heads against the walls in order to annihilate their inexplicable race. Just part of the Jesuit oath. Yeah. And as I've said, I think I would be caught into the Jesuit thing if it really wasn't for me studying about Queen Isabella and Inquisition, because a lot of times if you really study Inquisition, it is pointed at mostly the Moors, but that's false. Inquisition was pointed at them peoples. It was exclusively pointed at them peoples. And really, like I read an article from last week, the amount of Jewish faith people they found in the Americas through the Macedos shows you that they really was put out of a lot of Europe. Now, this is one thing that Zach did admit, is that when they started the Jesuits, he finally admitted that a lot of Jewish faith people joined it. Because what happened is Isabella kind of gave them the mafia thing. Well, what was it? Get down or lay down. And so a lot of them went into the church. And what they found out is they had greater control being Catholics. Because they didn't have to, they hid it. It's a very good story in the other slavery that talks about one of these dudes that he was a governor over a half of Mexico and got caught doing them rituals. One of his children got caught. She was doing them rituals, and it embarrassed him because he was a converso, because they came over here in great numbers, especially to South America, Mexico. So it's them. The Jesuits is just their army. So, that's my only thing, is just it's the whole picture there. It ain't just part of a picture. Yes, they are responsible, but they have covered their tracks. These people have covered their tracks. That's what you've got to understand, is they put that out there instead of looking at them. I mean, what's the thing you've got to understand about what's going on now? Legalized propaganda, legalized government propaganda, which comes from Goebbels, which really is comes from American radio executives. That's kind of where it comes from as well. Keeps adjusting. I need to stay in place, I guess. They are all masters of misdirection. That's a good point, Nate. That's a good point. They really are. And this was a way for them to hide. This is a way for them to hide that you, and they've been doing it ever since. They've been doing it ever since. And yes, the Jesuits is a strong force, but they're, and I bring up, I've said this before with Black Widow. I think Black Widow kind of gave us a little hint. I think it's one Jewish faith person that is the king. Because if you really looked at the end of Black Widow, when the dude was up in the clouds, and remember the Monkey King, when you study the Monkey King, one of the reigns is up in the clouds, up in the heavens, kind of Zeus of Mount Olympics. But they had him, remember his station in Black Widow was up in the clouds, but it was one dude running the computer system. Now, they don't really make the Mai that strong. They was like, well, the Mai can do all this if I give it to Cody. If I give it to Cody, it can do all this. If you remember that part of Black Widow, and I'm not trying to spoil it, but Black Widow's what, a couple months old now. So that's what it appears like to me, that it is one, that they have a king. Now, some people call their king their Messiah. Some people call it the anti. Could be. But it appears from that little bit of tidbit of that movie that it's one that they probably got a line of a family calling the shots, I'm guessing. Oh. So that's what I'm guessing is how it's ran. I think it is like they probably have a council. Now, you guys probably don't remember this baseball player, but there was a baseball player named Steve Carlton. And Steve Carlton was on TV and talking and everything. But Steve Carlton broke down and said it's 13 of them peoples that run the world. He said 12 or 13. And again, I don't want y'all looking and think I'm a junkie. This is hospital shit. So, this is where the IV was. Like, well, that proves he was a junkie. You'll see his arm. Yeah, that's tape right there, which should have been washed off, but seems don't like it's. That's how hard they damn jab me. Hey, Siova, there we go. Peace from beyond the time zones. Ah, there you go. And so that just to me points to them. There's too many instances where you see their prints around it. And like you mentioned, Bill Cooper, and I know Zach again. I'm not against Zach. And I want to say this. This is one thing that gematria that you got to look at. You got to look at this. Is gematria. Like when I take my pendulum, I said this before. I take my pendulum. It's got three possibilities. Yes, no, and maybe. And I pretty much go with that. But this can find water. This can find lost things. This can find the ley lines outside, the fractal lines. It can show you energy centers in your house. But one thing, gematria is a divination, but one thing they do in gematria is they stack the deck. Because the more ciphers you have, you start stacking the deck. And people that do divinations kind of look at that as like, that's the corruption of the use. Because you stack the deck. It's 30 ciphers you can use. And I've said this before. You can almost like, again, if I go my pendulum and say my pendulum can do 8 possibilities, I'm stacking the deck for my divination. That's like when you go see a chick with a crystal ball and she already know who the fuck you are. She's stacking the deck. And I see that a lot in gematria. Hey, Meech, what's happening? And so that's one thing you got to consider about gematria. Now, again, on a limited thing, if on a limited thing, on original ciphers, if you find it matches, okay. I see that. But what I see is most people stretching it out. When you stretch it out, it turns into coincidence because you are stacking the deck in your favor. Again, if you're using 30 ciphers, you're using 10 ciphers, come on. That's not how divination works. That's a corruption of it almost. So just consider that. And that's your thing. Whatever your thing is, do your thing. I'll say this. I probably use 42 more than Zach and them do. I'll point that out. That is on point. I dig that. All you got to use is the 4 ciphers. I don't go outside of those because you need deeper understanding of the Hebrew and Sumerian languages that I don't have. That's a good point. If you're using the 4, that I can dig. That I can dig, because that's really what the base is about. And that's good points you bring up about the rest of it, because again, you guessing if you try to use the other one. That's a great point. Thank you for admitting that. That's a great point. I'll tell you, the only thing that gets me is the no-name rappers, why they incorporate it. Well, I'll say this is like Rap and Death is so much. And like Jonathan is put together with the death coat of rapping, because again, when you talk about human sacrifice, this is something they need practically every day. They practically need this every day, because ritual. Now, if we're gonna stay in pure ritual, they have rituals that we like that we don't even know about, that come up, and they need blood on those days. Now, if they kill, like if they did kill Kobe and his daughter and all those other people, imagine what day that was on for them to get that blood, because you're killing a star. And so there's extra blood for killing a star. I mean, look how they killed Rudolph Valentino to usher in the talkies. He didn't have a very hard voice. He had a very soft voice. And so he was human sacrificed. And that's, you got to put human sacrifice. You can't just be putting, they got sacrificed. See, they say that not to give it any humanism. But if you say it's human sacrifice, you look at it a different way. Because we just too much use the word sacrifice, not like it's a human being sacrificed. So this is the blood they want. Hey, strong discernment. Hey, thank you. Very kind of you. So, here we go. Oh, so this is why where the guys don't really like, we'll have local songs. And I think it's a thing to understand too, like states like California, states like Florida, you can just do little shows. All the states are so big, you can do little shows and make good money. You know, just have local play. Now, Morey is he's from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I mean, the way his thing kind of grew is kind of interesting. Where some people was even questioning, was he organic or was he part of a machine? I think that song just caught everybody, and he's going on the momentum of that one song. But it puts you into their crosshairs, because to make the fame, to make the money, you got to be seen. Tell me how the Dodgers played their game of the season yesterday on Kobe Day without manipulated. Their opponent stayed on 41 wins. And I watched the Dodgers, right? Did I watch the Dodgers last night? Who did they play? I think I watched some of that game, because the Twins was rained out yesterday. They played, no, Twins got pounded today. No, the Twins played Wednesday. They played the Yankees and lost. They played Tuesday. They played the Yankees and lost. I want to say their game got canceled one day, but they played the Red Sox and got pounded this evening. Hey, Green Onion, what's the rules? LA supposed to dodge something? Well, the Dodgers come from when they was in New York. That was one of the gangs' names. When you watch the movie Gangs of New York, they in the beginning of the movie, when DiCaprio is grown, they all go to the different groups. And you actually, if you study that stuff, who Bill the Butcher and all them was real people. And they break down the names. And so the Dodgers was one of the gang. They were named after basically a gang from the Four Corners. Meech, Morey too original, but they coming for him. Yeah, that was my thing, Meech, is I'm wondering. But yeah, that's what it. Dodger is, like a pickpocket, somebody that can steal, without being caught. Somebody can swindle without being caught. That's the kind of Dodgers. But the gangs of New York talk about the Dodgers. Hey, Barbara, thank you for joining. The day the LA Bears is Kobe Day, 8/24. Yeah. And, like even, I guess a lot of people didn't even watch his thing on, they came on ABC. Again, I turned away from it. I watched the beginning of it, and then when I turned back, it was like up to the rape thing. which was we know was a shame ritual. And then the way it ended, he still paid her dough. But again, to go in court and say there's 3 skeets in your pants. I mean, how do you get that kind of evidence? Who would keep their panties like that? I mean, you had to be super nasty to say, well, can you turn over the underwear? Did she get a rape kit or something? And they kept the panties, and they said, well, keep saying what else you see, and it just like, when they did the scrape, they scraped their panties, and was like, put them on the little slab, and this was A, and then scraped it and put on another slab. This was B, and scraped it, put on another slab. This is C, and then they sent it back and said, I mean, I just don't know. But we know when Kobe comes back, he's wearing the shame number of 24. It's the Jackie Robinson. And why the number change? His daddy wore 23, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't realize his daddy was 6'10". I heard a guy describe Jelly Bean as 6'10". I remember him being that big. But there's a sweet play if you want to look at it. If you look at Joe Bryant, Joe Jelly Bean Bryant dunking on Kareem, he does a baseline, boom. I was like, man, that caught me. I was like, wow. So see how long I'm gonna go. Mother pills have kicked in. I'll drink this beer. I think I can make it to the end. But the other pills have kind of kicked in, so not feeling too bad. It's like can't really turn. Like, when your neck hurts, you got to turn your shoulder instead of being able just to turn your head. Whiplash. So that's what's trying to understand about him is like, why after the shaming, why did he have to change his number? But really, if you look at the whole Kobe story, they wanted to keep that Michael Jordan energy going. I mean, that was the thing, is he was the replacement for Michael Jordan. One thing of the history of the NBA, starting out with Dr. J, is the dominant 6'6" guy. And I guess Elgin Baylor would probably be the first having the dominant 6'6" dude. Yeah, it would probably go to Elgin Baylor first. And that seems to be something the NBA always loved. Collins won a championship with Boston. Dave Collins, he was only 6'6" or 6'7", playing center against Kareem. But they always liked that 6'6" dude. And again, you have Dr. J that took the league by storm. And of course, you have Jordan. And then Kobe follows Jordan. And that, like when Kobe does the Jordan, like that, that's Jordan. So it's interesting that they wanted that kind of energy to keep going. So when these actors get rape accusations, that's a shaming. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a shaming ritual. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of different shaming rituals, but that seems to be a common shaming ritual with athletes. Not to say brothers don't do that, but I'm saying in that instance, and then the way she took money but dropped the case. I mean, again, like Mike Tyson, if you look at the whole scenario of it and the real reason why he was set up, because it was a setup. Again, a girl can't go into, I mean, a woman's not coming into your room until 2, 3 in the morning. And then it was all about the dough too. But the reason he was set up by Don King, because Don King wanted the right to his money. And that's what Mike did. And Don King took probably $80 million from him. He didn't have to pay back. Out of the $100 million he took, he had to pay back about $30 million. And Mike Tyson whooped his ass. But the problem was, it was a state that was tough on sexual assault. And then he didn't, the Kennedy, if you remember, when Mike Tyson went down weeks later or before, was one of the Kennedys. And he had a lawyer named Roy Black, I think is his name. And I thought surely Mike Tyson would have Roy Black. Don King gets him an attorney that was an attorney that was a speaking attorney. You have attorneys that are trial attorneys, and then you have attorneys that, do the paperwork. Don King hired a paperwork attorney when he needed somebody to speak for him. So I didn't understand why they didn't hire Roy Black. They just got Kennedy off. So, yeah, the 24 was shaming as well. Again, I've talked about the oldest one I found was pre-World War II, I'll say, was probably from the 20s, and the team was called the 42s. And then from Jackie Robinson, I mean, again, you can look at Willie Mays. Willie Mays wore 24, I'm pretty sure. Paul Warfield, 24. Connie Hawkins wore 42. Spencer Haywood wore 24. I mean, the name goes on and on and on. That you see that these people, and then every team, you see much every team. Watch games. Watch even the WNBA. The sister that was killing them for the Seattle Sound, is that their name, or is that the soccer team? Whatever the Seattle basketball team, it was a sister the other night killing them. They lost to New York, but she had, I think, 36. She wearing 24. I've said this before. If you have children, don't allow them to have these marks. This is a mark. You know, this is a mark. People who go out of their way to destroy someone's well-being by manipulating every aspect of their lives, or at least does it make worse if this is a family member? That's a good question. I mean, kind of personal, but families do that. Families do that. I mean, in some way, I can even, say that in some ways, my father's family, in some ways, they tried to erase me and replace me with my ex-wife, my children's mother's husband. They call him an in-law, and he's not related. She's not related. It's my children. So I understand that. But I mean, you have to move on from it. Find out where the evil's coming from, put up some blocks, and then move on. Move on, because it's always going to be like a type of fight, And this is what makes me laugh is like people take swings at you and judge you, and then when you throw that shit back in their face, they don't be kind about it. Like my family wants to penalize my children, which my children are casualties of war for me fighting my father's family. Well, just him and his wife, really. But my uncle's an agent. My mother hit me to that. I didn't realize my uncle was an agent, but I'm like, yeah, he's an agent. And I'm like, damn, he followed my father's footsteps, though. Have you personally gone out your way to torment innocent people just for fun? No, I really haven't. Not torment. Now, I stand in line. I make people turn around. I make people may itch. But no, not nothing evil. Not nothing evil. I've never tried to do anything evil to anybody. What do I think about Manny Pacquiao's fight? It was actually a pretty good fight. Manny still throws hands, but that decisive punch was at the 11th round when he opened that cut up under Manny's eye. That I don't know, was that the 12th round? Either the 11th or 12th round, he hit Manny, and that shit just like boom. I don't know if y'all, maybe that was the 12th round. That won the fight. That one punch, he stung him, and that shit put some shit, like it opened him up right here. But that punch right there, to me, seemed the difference. I mean, both of them was busy. It was a good fight. I thought it was a good fight. Manny was too old, but he used them hands. I mean, he wasn't very, Manny wasn't very efficient. I mean, he did a lot of punching that wasn't hidden. But again, I thought the 11th and 12th round won it for the other guy. But it was an exciting fight. But that punch that opened this shit up was like, woo, because he hit him, and you saw like when he backed up, like he hit Manny, and the next thing you know, you see a big cut like this on the bottom of Manny's eye. I was like, oh, that was a hell of a punch. My father just worked for them peoples. He worked for them. Speaking of games, I watched some old NFL vids, and I noticed the commentators were saying what happens before it happened. Tony Romo is a prime example. He's one of the best at that. Tony Romo. And I forgot to mention this. When I was in the hospital, I was watching, and I got to watching the Big Ten Network and college football in the 80s. I watched the Michigan game from 85 and the Michigan game from now. What they play now is not like they used to play. Like the football I played in, they don't play like that. I mean, it was like somebody was getting crushed almost every play. The amount of contact, you don't see that anymore. Not in the new passing game. Again, it was more of a running game. But again, it was Michigan State, Ohio State. Harbaugh, that's the coach for Michigan. He played in it for 2 years, and they was crushing each other. So... but yeah, my father worked, I'm pretty sure he worked for the State Department through Job Corps. Just heard from Awen himself. He's never tormented an innocent person for no reason. So anyone out there doing it, then please stop. No, I've never, not evilly. not evenly. It's like Seattle Storm. Thank you, Valerie. So it's like one of the about 3 girls ago that I dated. She went to one of my old videos, and it was somebody I was beefing with on YouTube. On Facebook. And so, the chick didn't think I could remote view in her crib, and I'm standing behind her throwing arrows in her back. And they had to go, because this is like back in January, February that I'm mentioning this. And, that was because we was going back and forth on Facebook. But no, just to fuck with a person, just to fuck with them, nah, I really have no need for that. Hey, Code of Matria, hey, didn't know you were in the hospital. Good to see you and doing better. That's very kind of you to say. Yeah, I wasn't feeling very well Monday. I think it was Monday. Well, whenever I did my last show. Maybe it was last Friday, maybe. Yeah, I did a show last week and just kept having pains up in here all night. Wasn't feeling good. And kept going. And I said this before, like on TV, when the person goes and registers and you tell them they have a heart attack, it's like 15, 20 people come and they rush you in the back. Shit, this chick told me, she's like, well, what's wrong with you? I say, I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack. Chick was like, okay, go sit down. She was like, go sit down. We'll get somebody with you. And I guess she figured since I was walking, I was okay. But it's just kind of funny to think about it. Well, go have a seat. You walking and talking. Heard of the sport rugby from England. Apparently, it's more physical, damaging to the body than American football. Apparently, the U.S. players didn't want to play and the U.K. players in the game. They play each other in the Worlds all the time. Depending what cable you have, because like right now, we're in Australian rules football season. So Friday night, you can watch a live Australian football rules game. Afternoon, Australia. Rugby, I want to say the rugby season is over right before the Olympics started. So I want to say rugby ended in July, late July. But yeah, they play rugby, plays everybody. Yeah, you can find rugby. Oh, that's very kind of you, Meech. Thank you. I noticed they kept showing Uga's fiance during the fight. Yeah, I noticed that too. But he took some punches, but he was more an efficient fighter. He was way more efficient. But Manny, energy-wise, didn't miss a beat. I really thought it was kind of close. I really thought that punch, and that punch again came at the 11th or 12th round. That punch was, and I know it's silly to say, but that punch, to see that he still had at the 11th or 12th round, he still had the strength to hit him and make that kind of cut on him. I thought that was a deciding factor. He was throwing harder punches at the end. But yeah, I caught that too. They kept showing her. Yep. Justin Fields could have been hurt badly. That was helmet to helmet. What about the game last night with the boy from the Jaguars? They hurt Entwine. You see that? Entwine. What's his name? Entwine. From Clemson. He got hurt and put out, broke his foot or broke a bone in his foot. And they went after last night reminded me of when the coach from the Redskins put RG3 in there with second and third string lines, and he tried to attempt to get him hurt. That remind me of, they went after that quarterback and a couple times tried to hurt him. Remember one time he didn't slide. The first dude, they must have said in the because the first dude, when he ran the ball, when he ran around the left side, the first dude had a clean shot. He whiffed on him. So I think they told him don't hit him. But some of them other hits, they got close to hurting him. And again, the jealousy. Some of them dudes he made, again, being the first pick, he probably got 35 guaranteed out of probably 50. He probably got 35 guaranteed out of 50 something. Because they get their money up front. But them dudes be jealous of that. And so they went after him a couple times. And he's a stiff dude for the most part. And they hurt Joe. Remember Joe Burrows? They hurt him. You watch that play. They hurt Joe Burrows on purpose. His man blocked a guy into him that injured him. So Travis Entwine, Entwine got hurt last night. Dalton is not a good quarterback. That was like my personal best video was that video I did on my other channel of Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, that video did 62,000 views. My best video was with Zach when he showed he shared my Dame Dollars beating Oklahoma City in the goodbye shot. But that one had 100,000 views. But my personal best on my show was of them, Andy Dalton get knocked out. None of the Cowboys come to him. None of them try to fight for him or nothing. And so, yeah, Dalton hasn't been a great player. He had A.J. Green all those years and just never. So he's an average guy. A proper answer for me before I go. This is serious. I truly believe I have the ability to become an elite athlete. Should I pursue this knowing the rituals and other stuff I will endure? Well, Big H, this is the thing to look at. Each level you go to it until you run into that. But don't go into it with your eyes closed. Go into it with your eyes wide open and understand. So take whatever steps you can go to. And if it's something you want to go into, again, I played college football. I played on TV. Almost all my games in college was on TV at one point. And so, and I played at a black college. We were still Division II at the time. But, I didn't go far enough to really see what the next step is, no matter what you do. And so just don't go into it with your eyes closed. Again, you can do so many different things in sports. You can turn it into coaching. I mean, you can do so many other things. If it can pay for your college like it did mine, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that if they'll pay for your college. So, take it as far as you can. And then if that all comes to you and that's for you, no one's going to judge you. That's your thing. So, Najee Harris from the Steelers had a scripted big game, juked the defender 20 yards away last week. Oh, my goodness. And what's interesting on that kind of thing, you see it all the time. On my other channel, one of the ones that I hate, and I know the NFL was happy when they deleted my other channel because I don't know if y'all remember, but people that watch me long enough, I showed a video where I don't remember who was playing who, but the defender blocked his own man so somebody could score. So the defender knocked his man out the way so the offensive team could score. Do you get what I'm saying? The defender, instead of trying to tackle the ball carrier, he knocks his man out of the way. And I showed that. I showed that a couple years ago. But it's like he knocks his own man out of the way. The strong discernment. If I didn't say what's happening. So, so I know the NFL was glad they took a lot of that stuff down. Okay, well, we hope you make it. We do. I got a partner plays for the U now. We're gonna start watching. And so, I mean, take it far as you can take it. There's nothing wrong with sports. It's really not. It's what you do with it. That's the thing. And like people say, the biggest reason why people don't tell is because, when you go to college and you play sports, think about all the people like really it kind of goes like this. Think of all the people you play against in high school and the few that make it to college, but you make it to college. And then you both share your experiences. You might know some of the same people, or they might introduce you to people. You might introduce them. But you like these are some of these relationships are lifelong relationships. I mean, most people in college, your friends forever. And so this is why, again, like Kwame Brown's become the Steve Harvey. He's Steve Harvey now. Kwame Brown has got the Steve Harvey talk show. What spook can I talk about today? That seems to be all, but he don't talk about the rigged games he played in. Because this young man is in his 40s, and when he gets 50-something, he gets a pension of about $200,000 to $300,000 for the rest of his life. So do you think he's going to talk about fixed games? Of course not. Who's going to ruin that kind of money? So they just passed the agenda. They just passed the agenda on. So yeah, we'll look forward to watching you. Hope good things for you. We hope nothing but the best and positive for you for sure. And so that's what you have to understand why nobody's really come back. I mean, they don't have to, though. I mean, it's enough information that we see as people, how it goes. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you this. Yesterday, one thing I've had a lot of time today definitely is to meditate. And it's funny, like, how do I want to start with this? how do I want to set this up? So remote viewing it's getting easier. I'll start with that. Remote viewing is getting a lot easier for me. And I just what I saw, I'm like, I hope not, but I was able to look into a site where I was sitting in my living room, and it came in very crystal clear. And so I did have that foresight the other night. The other part of the foresight is, well, you know, I just turned 60, and the other part of it was I was shown so much, but the other part was, and I hope this part doesn't come true, but it was me with babies. So that part I hope doesn't come true. But the other part of remote viewing was very clear, and it's like, I was able to tune into something. So it takes practice, and you don't really have to concentrate like you might think. You just really have to open everything up. I'll put it like that. You have to open everything up. Sometimes it's okay to have an aim, and other times that it will come without you having an aim. And again, the benefit of remote viewing, of course, is you have an aim and you get into it. But there's other times that it'll come into you, and you don't really have to have an aim. I'll say that. And that's just working on your abilities. So I guess I want to put that out there. Had that great experience. Can you play my song? This is through, is this through meditation? Yeah, this was through meditating. Yeah. And I wasn't even that deep meditating either. But yeah, this was definitely through meditating. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Jay Wavy. Meech. Yeah, this is through, can you play my song? What is your song? Jay Wavy. You have a song? What is your song? I didn't bring my other phone in here with all my music in it anyway. There was some music I wanted to play that it's a whistle part. But yeah, this was through Meech. This was through meditation. And I wasn't really deep meditating. And the other day I got so deep that I ended up, I was in that position for about I've got some new chairs where I can sit straight with my legs up. And I was probably in the position good 45, 50 minutes. Yeah. Kind of took me away. You're always everyone for keeping the lights up. Oh, thank you. It's more of imagining what's going on that you're able to remote view or subconscious. Is it more of imagining what's going on? Well, if you really looked at how do I want to say it? I'll start with this. So if you go through crystal ball and mirror work, that can be a type of remote viewing with either one. I've remote viewed with the crystal ball, but I've remote viewed more with the mirrors. And so mirror work is probably the easiest way for most people to do it. And so again, you have an aim, and then you look into the mirror. And I've said before, one of Montezuma's people, 10 years before Cortez comes, he sees them and he tells them what he sees. That he sees these people with red hair on these things with a type of something on them, and he describes it. He describes it 10 years. That's using a mirror or crystal ball. Another thing is just using your consciousness or your awareness. And so again, it's just opening your awareness. And again, you can have an aim, but other times you can see some stuff without having an aim. And how do I want to describe that? Foresight. I guess that's the best way I can explain it, is foresight. Other times it comes in as foresight. Yeah, that's the best way I can explain it, is foresight. Oh yeah, Sean, I'm feeling better. My neck's a little stiff, but other than that, I'm feeling better. I can hear my voice though. I listen to my show because it's funny. I did that show tonight. I got out of the hospital and I can really hear how low my voice is. So I'm getting back. The Middle East propaganda is going to with September. Is it coming up? It's just a reminder, rubbing the face. Yeah, it's a big distraction. Again, who did this? Like, him trying to say that jobs is going to be opening up. Again, when you look at pork money, because a lot of it is going to be pork money, we'll see. And we know, like, a lot of work has been done in my area, which you see in the summertime. We always see more pork money in the summer times. But you see the same crews. And for years, these big projects down here, I wasn't seeing brothers. Now, I was seeing people from South America, Mexico, but I wasn't seeing any brothers getting any of this pork money. Again, where I live is very European, dominated. And so this year is finally seeing brothers and sisters put in these jobs. But that becomes the thing. It's like, as all this infrastructure, who is this money going to really go to? Now, again, helping Medicare more, helping the baby boomers more, that's a positive thing. So where do you think, so where is it going to go? This is what I don't understand. So if I said before about the equipment is going to be obsolete to them. Now, the only, again, like I've said about the Vietnam War, this is the thing, and if I may have said this, I'll repeat this. The one thing watching Vietnam and the Mekong Delta, one of the guys said is like, when we leave, who's going to fix this stuff? And there's really was no Vietnamese that had that aptitude of being able to, good enough mechanics to fix that stuff. Again, they're going to fall into the same boats. Now, can the Russians, can the Chinese reverse engineer this stuff? Could be. But if the stuff is broken, they don't have the spare parts. They don't have the necessary know-how to keep up with a lot of that stuff. I mean, the Black Hawk helicopter ain't like the old-fashioned helicopters where you got the pitch pedal and you, let me see, what is the pitch? And I'm trying to think of what else it is. But it was only two, like the old Huey helicopters, it's only like two little pedals you got to push to go up and go forward. So it ain't that. So a lot of that equipment they ain't gonna be able to use. Again, small arms, bunch of ammunition. So it's a type of distraction, but it's an embarrassment. It shows his lack of leadership. And you see the way they kept Sister Girl quiet, and then she's in Vietnam, and now they're saying that, one of them weapons, them sound weapons was thrown at her crew with her. So we'll see. Thoughts on the FDA? What does it really mean? I mean, I wish I had my other phone in here. Look at all the stuff the FDA approves. They approve aspartame, that fake sugar. They approve that. They approve the dyes that you see in cereals like Fruity Pebbles. Them dyes is approved. That stuff can get you sick. The M&M red dye. The M&M's dyes on the rest of their candies can get you sick. So they approve a lot of stuff that will get you sick. So it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Their approval doesn't mean anything. What they're trying to do is manipulate it into giving power to saying, again, forcing people. And when you have something that's organic, you ain't got to force people. If people really believed you, but people just don't believe what's going on. It's not organic. It's not organic. We've caught them lying over and over again. My mother says, well, you see, this is what they want to put in there. You know more than the scientists. As I said, scientists are the ones that was ahead of Tuskegee's thing. Scientists is the one over abortions, which we lost 60 million melanated people, which is basically 4 generations. Them scientists, them doctors. So being a scientist doesn't mean, well, scientists can be evil. How many times in old movies you see the evil scientists? So scientists cannot be for the good. And so right now we see scientists are not from the good. Pfizer has the second largest judgment ever, 2.3 billion. So how do you believe a company that has harmed the most people dying from vaccinations and medicines are from Pfizer? Pfizer is barred from some countries because of so many people got harmed because of what they use. So FDA is paid off as well. That don't mean nothing. That means they can put in their National Socialist agenda. That's what it appears like, a way to use their National Socialist agenda, because that's really what they want. Is they want communism. They're using this, and melanated people are stepping back because we've caught them lying with the numbers. I would say I was in the hospital 4 or 5, 6 days ago. Hospital wasn't full. And this is what I gauge is the best hospital in the world. I don't care what anybody says. The best hospital in the world is about 50 miles south of me, the Mayo Clinic. It's the best hospital in the world. That hospital ain't full. That is a city of hospital. Let me say that again. This is a city of hospital of about over 100,000 people. A city of hospital. That place ain't full. So when they get full, then I'll worry, but that place ain't full. And they lying about these numbers. And that's the other thing. Like my mother was like, well, you don't believe these scientists? Fauci was the same one that talked about the fake AIDS thing. They said Magic Johnson had AIDS to sell condoms. That was it, to sell condoms. All that AIDS and all the way they went after gay people. Nobody talks about that. That was an attack on gay people. You can get into Reagan. Reagan had some propaganda out there talking about directly trying to come up with something. Watch the movie, the first JFK movie by, he wrote Executive Action. They talk about AIDS. In Executive Action, they talk about a disease that would mostly harm melanated people. Look how they infected all those people in Africa. Executive Action, or Mark Lane, that's the name I was looking for. Mark Lane wrote a movie called the first Kennedy movies, Executive Action. And they talk about AIDS in that movie in the late 60s or early 70s. They describe AIDS. So the FDA doesn't mean that it's good. It just gives them more of that whip. Mad scientist, there you go. Recent recall on Philips CPAP machine. Some parts inside is linked to cancer. Yeah, Valerie. And you know, like people that are heavy, like 3 of my exes are on that shit, you know, because what they say is they say that people that sleep and when you have sleep apnea, you stop breathing, and they say that can give you dementia. But now, yeah, they're saying that those machines, you can't really get them clean enough. Yeah, exactly. Recent recall. Yeah, on the CPAP machines. Yeah. But yeah, strong discernment. That's it. Mad scientists. Again, you know, we see that over and over if people pay attention. Again, if it's organic, people fall in line. We like this is the thing I made fun of. Is like the first thing when Afghanistan was fucked up, Slow Joe didn't say nothing about it. He went back to wearing the mask. So do you see how they doing this, old man? They said, well, you go out there and say your power thing and talk about the mask. Because people did not vote. People voted for Biden's smile, and they didn't vote for his politics. Because if you studied Biden, there's no way any melanated person could rationally vote for that man. And they talk all this shit about Trump. Trump took pictures with OJ. Trump tried to be Mike Tyson's manager. You see a lot of pictures with Trump with brothers. And remember all the music that Trump's in. So this shit that yes, he did give a big corporate tax break that was trickle-down economics, and that shit ain't never worked. But so did Clinton. So did Dubba and his daddy. So did Obama. Obama did trickle-down economics. I mean, shit, Obama is the coldest motherfucker that has ever been in the office as far as snatching people off the streets around the world and locking them up. Remember, under Obama's watch was that black site in Chicago. Under Obama's watch, Obama was a junior senator. So you don't think Obama was trained by them Bushes. General Clark, I think is his book. I read, must have been 2001. And it tells you about Obama. I think it was General Clark's book, but he was under the Bushes. And if you read his book and you saw that, and I don't think Obama didn't come until what, 08, I think. But if you read his book, Obama pushed all his agendas. Obama pushed all the Bush's agendas, and they revved him up, snatching motherfuckers off the street. And all that talk about, Obama, one of them peoples. His mama is one of them peoples. Obama is African American. I mean, really, under the word African American, his mama is them peoples, and his daddy was from Africa. So he was the African American. So, yes, FDI is a joke. Aspartame, there you go. Aspartame. Like, look up mouthwash. Like, the only kind of mouthwash you can get is the bitter, nasty kind. Listerine. That's the only kind of mouthwash you really want to get, because it's the only one you're gonna find without fluoride and without some type of sweetener, artificial sweetener, without some kind of artificial sweetener. But if you use the most anything else, they're gonna have artificial sweeteners in there. It's like I go to the dollar store and I just look at some of this shit. I'm like, look at this shit. I'm getting mouthwash with fluoride. And you don't want fluoride. Fluoride is what the Nazis used against them peoples when they cleaned them. Oh, Meech, that's okay. It ain't the numbers. It ain't the numbers. Doesn't that fool have two masks on at once? Yes, he did. Rakan, the sheep, it was called Black Trump. There you go. They was always bringing them up. They was always bringing them up. Well, guys, I'm getting a little sore. The sitting is kind of hard for me. Maybe tomorrow. It's hard to say. I hurt my shoulder again, but I'm feeling a little better. But I know I just took medication, so sorry I haven't been on as much. But give old man a little break. I thank you all for coming. Sorry I got to cut it short. Yeah, quantity over quality, no doubt. So just be aware. Just be aware. I say, I'll say this to everybody in closing. No matter how you do it, take time for yourself. Take time for yourself. You don't have to meditate, but just time where you quiet your mind. You quiet your mind from the outside world, because that's a way to really keep yourself. If you can shut out all the noise of the outside world for just a few minutes every day, you'll be stronger from this mentally. Let me mention this too, is like things like puzzles. A lot of these things to help your acuity. Again, wearing gold will help your acuity. And I don't work for any gold company, but it will. That would be the purpose of wearing it, be it a ring, but it will help your acuity. Have copper. Again, I drink from copper cups every day. If you have a copper line, if you own a home and your copper line supplies your water and your ice, drink from that every day. Matter of fact, that should be the first thing you do, is when you wake up, if you have that copper line that runs to your refrigerator, drink that every day. First thing when you get up. Before you even eat. And if you drink coffee, eat something before you drink coffee. Put a little something else in your stomach after you drink the water. Work on your acuity, though. That's really a big thing, is do things that keep you mentally sharp and mentally with it. So, colloidal copper, could be. Well, thank you. I think this is, yeah, this is it. So I'm going to read Mora. And then I got that in. So Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact number of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the great serpent, and the serpent is the Milky Way. And so, as the mind would say, treat everyone with kindness, compassion, because I am another yourself. So this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everybody. Till we meet again.